So the Mandarin and a bulletproof monk walk into a hospital, and then there be some explosions. Because this episode, we're talking movies, we're talking Hard Boil, aka God of Guns, aka Ruthless Super Cop, starring Chow Yun-fat, Tony Leung, and Teresa Mo, written by Barry Wong, Gordon Chan, and John Woo, who also directed. Kris, you saved the day there, you little piss pot. Thanks a lot.
Give a guy a gun, thinks he's Superman. Give him two, thinks he's God.
Hey everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of How'd You Like That Movie? Tonight we're going to be talking about John Woo's classic Hong Kong action flick, Hard Boiled, from 1992. Scott, take us away.
Okay. Well, watching this is, before we start, like, this was your first time ever watching this film, right?
Yeah, actually, I haven't watched a lot of, the only other really Hong Kong action flick that I've watched is Internal Affairs, basically. And I only watched it because it's basically the original Departed by Scorsese, right? So yeah, I'm not really familiar with a lot of Hong Kong action.
Yeah, so for me, like, I came into this film when it first got released, and I think it was the perfect timing. It was the perfect storm. I literally was just getting into Bruce Lee movies, Jackie Chan movies, and then a friend of mine gave me a copy of this, and I was completely blown away. Even now, looking at it, like, I don't revisit this film very often, so watching it again, like, thinking about it, this is a 30-year-old movie, and it's never been repeated. It's never been remade, right? It's one of those that people are like, you can't make it any better. And I think it's even though it's gruesome violence, the way John Woo choreographed this violence, it's like a dance, right? Like, it's literally beautiful to watch. And it's the epiphany of 90 movies where, you know, a revolver is going to give you 15 shots, even though it only holds 6 bullets.
Fine, I only have 12 bullets, so you're going to have to share. Let's count them down. Because
watching somebody reload just takes away from that. Like, takes away from the action. They're like, fuck it. They're like, he already knew. He's like, 30 years from now, this fucker named Langford is going to be like, they need to cut this down a little bit, less reloading time. So he already knew ahead of time. And he was like, fuck this guy. He was like, this one bullet, the only gun that you saw get reloaded is the gun that only shot 1 bullet, apparently. I don't know what kind of gun that is, but they're like, fuck it. Right?
I mean, you can see John Wick in this, right? Like, this is like, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm not really familiar with, I know Hong Kong is known for its action cinema. And I mean, you can go back to like Bruce Lee and stuff as well. But my understanding is like John Woo is kind of like the godfather or father of what you now see in like GUNFU in films like John Wick and stuff. Would that be inaccurate?
This influence and his influence, right? Like, you see it everywhere now, right? Like, because it's all, you know,
like even the Matrix and stuff like that, right? Like,
yeah, it's all one. Even some of the concepts that they had in this film in terms of duality, right? Where, you know, it's 2 villains, but they think alike, they act alike. You find out technically that you know, he's not really a villain, but like, that is what brought in Infernal Affairs that you're talking about. Like, they like that concept so much that they literally made a series out of it.
Sure.
Right.
Which, as I've said, if you like The Departed, it's almost a shot-for-shot remake of Internal Affairs. I actually think Internal Affairs
isn't it better. Infernal Affairs?
It's Internal Affairs.
Okay.
Yeah. I think it's a fantastic film. It's beautifully shot. Action sequences are fucking stand-up. And again, you watch it and you're like, Scorsese took that, to the point that I got kicked off All the Right Movies fucking Twitter, because they're bitches, because I kept calling them out when I said it's basically shot for fucking shot. You guys don't know what the fuck you're talking about over there. So you guys can fuck your hat.
Go fuck a goat.
Yeah.
Yeah, literally, it's because you're the fucking angry troll under the bridge, right? Like, Twitter was made for you so you can troll fucking people and be like, I'm smarter than you. But besides the point, but you're right. Like, it's influenced, like John Wick. You can watch any one of the John Wick films and you can be like, yes, right? Like, there it is. You can see where it comes from this movie. If you haven't, watch any of the John Woo stuff.
Okay, so actually, before I want to ask you, so he's known for big Hong Kong John Woo films are A Better Tomorrow, The Killer, and Bullet in the Head, and Once a Thief. Have you watched any of those?
I watched Killer with Chong Yun-fat. It's good. I don't remember if I watched Beautiful Day because it's been like I binged this like over 30 years ago, right? Like, I became a John Woo fan with this film. And then obviously he came to, like, they brought him over to
America.
Yeah, and then you had like fucking Hard Target with Van Damme.
What's your favorite? So he's got Hard Target, Broken Arrow, Face Off, and Mission Impossible 2 are kind of his big American films. What's your favorite? What's your most recommended American John Woo film? Or do you love them all equally?
No, I don't love them all equally. I would say Mission Impossible 2 is the best one out of all the Mission Impossibles, especially, long hair, fucking Tom Cruise.
Really? Wait. So you think that out of all the Mission Impossibles, Mission Impossible 2, even up to the modern ones, you like the most recent ones, because I think they come out like every 3 years or whatever, you still think Mission Impossible 2 is the best one?
Well, if I'm gonna say it, like, think about it. The first Mission Impossible, which was De Palma, right?
Yeah.
Brian De Palma. That was literally like enclosed, claustrophobic, like,
which is very De Palma, right? Like, it's like thriller kind of. Yeah, it's less action, more thriller, right? Like dramatic.
Exactly.
Thriller.
And then they're like, hey, we're gonna bring John Woo in. And then now it's like, I'm riding a fucking motorcycle. I'm steering it with my feet. I'm going to jump over it and then still shoot a guy in the back of the head.
So right? Again, I would actually then, if that's, and I agree with you. I totally agree with you. I would argue that all the films after that are because of John Woo's influence on Mission Impossible 2.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Like, what if, like, you always have to fucking convert the conversation to Tom Cruise and something fucking Tom Cruise.
So now that we're talking about Top Gun and Top Gun 2, no, keep going.
Okay, but like, if you think the original concept of what they were going to do with that franchise was literally you hired a director and that director's style is what the film was going to be. That's why De Palma's was like espionage thriller.
Yep. John Woo was like action, Hong Kong action.
And then it was J.J. Abrams and 3 with Philip Seymour Hoffman, where it was just like, it was kind of melded both of them. And now you have, I think it's Christopher McQuarrie, who's directed, like, they've just kept him going.
Yeah. Because he kind of like found that sweet spot.
Yes.
That sweet spot with Tom Cruise doing his own stunts.
Yeah. He found the clitoris.
I am the master of the clit. I am the clit commander.
He found the clitoris of MI.
But, I mean, finding the clitoris is also another title for Mission Impossible.
Oh my god.
Anyway, back to John Woo. Back to John Woo. Okay, so you think Mission Impossible 2 is the best?
But Face Off is fucking, like, when you go all Nick Cage there, and then not even all Nick Cage, when you got fucking Travolta doing Nick Cage, like, that alone, right? Like, when
I think Broken Arrow is the least good film in that, and the reason I like Hard Target is because it's fucking his first film in the US, and you got fucking Van Damme. And like,
wait, before you said, so your Broken Arrow is the one of his films, so not Payback with Ben Affleck.
Oh, I didn't know about Payback. Sorry, it's not on my list because Payback. Oh shit, yeah. Okay, yeah, Payback.
That was literally his last American film, was that one, and then he went back to Hong Kong. Now he was doing he's been doing like period pieces kind of thing, history films. but I think he did do one for Netflix. My God, I'm having a brain fart. I think it's called The Meeting or something like that. And that was just released a couple of years ago, but I haven't had a chance to watch it though. Yeah, go ahead. It's called Manhunt. It's the Netflix film is called Manhunt.
So I mean, specifically this film. So I mean, both the two leads. So Chow Yun-fat was, he works with him often. Better Tomorrow, The Killer, Once a Thief, The Replacement Killers. The Replacement Killers is not his. Once a Thief, and then he did The Replacement Killers, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, Bulletproof Monk. So, and I mean, he's had a solid. He's still acting in Hollywood. Like he made the transition. He's doing great. So that was Inspector Tequila, the undercover cop Alan, Tony Young Chai Y. He also worked with him in Bullet in the Head, and then he was in Internal Affairs.
Yeah.
Which again, as we've talked about, is I can't remember. Do you know which role he played? Did he play the Matt Damon role, or did he play the Leonardo DiCaprio role?
I don't remember.
I
think he would have been. I think he was the Matt Damon role, because I think he was the reverse of what he was.
Yeah, he was the cop, and this in this one he's the undercover.
Yeah.
So I mean, just some of the stats on Hard Boiled. So it was made for $4.5 million, did 72 at the box office. I mean, I don't even know what's done on video on demand, as well as, when it gets into being sold as a box office and stuff. It was picked up by Miramax. And they actually wanted to cut a bunch of his films down, John Woo films down, to release them as a set. And he was like, nah. You got to fucking watch my director's cut, which I always think is, I love when directors put their fucking dick on the table. Boom. Chris talked about dick in this show. It's got a 2-hour running time. I know you're going to disagree with the statement. So the action sequences are fucking off the hook. If you like actions, like, you watch this film. What drags this thing down is the in-between action sequences, like the fucking storylines. Like this script went through a bunch of like rewrites and like different characters, had to have their scripts rewritten because different actors got put in. So it was originally supposed to be that they were chasing a serial killer that was poisoning babies. And then they were like, yeah, this isn't going to fly in the US. People in the United States don't like it. So they went with the triad gangster kind of motif, which I think is great. Like that works great. But they still had that baby section. They're still saving babies in the hospital. Like,
yeah.
A lot of it just felt like, just stick with it. Just stick with the action. But the action itself is like insane. I would love to know what the actual kill count in this fucking film is, but it's got to be like 1,000 fucking people. People are just dying everywhere. Fucking machine guns, revolvers shooting fucking 30 shots, fucking guys fucking falling out of the ceiling, fucking doing like Mission Impossible style fucking shooting, motorcycles. I saw that like Crazy 88 from Kill Bill basically in there when they ride in on the motorcycles and then they pull out the machine guns and they fucking take out that block. Like, the action is good. Just fast forward through the story. Don't even worry about the fucking story.
No. I do like some parts of the story. But I'll say in terms of how you're talking about the screen and the plot, the screenwriter, Barry Wong, he actually passed away prior to filming, and he only had a portion of the script completed. So that's when because technically the writer wasn't there and it was sold. So the producers are like, fuck it. Right, like no more baby poisoning stories. But that opening scene in the tea house. Do you know that was awesome? It was filmed without a script.
Yeah, it wasn't even in there. They were just like, this tea house is going to get torn down. You know what we should and this is what I love. So this is about, when I talk about directors having a story they want to tell, it's because they spend their whole lives looking at things or reading things and then picturing it. And he's like, I have this vision of a guy sliding down a banister and then fucking shooting people. Oh, look at that. There's a fucking banister. Let's fucking do it. And it's fucking awesome. Don't get me wrong. The action is fucking insane in this movie.
Yeah. And that's kind of the thing. Interesting thing too, because that's the introduction of pretty much Tequila. And going in, like if you went in without knowing anything, you don't even realize he's a cop at the beginning, right? You're literally like the way they.
You think he's like he could be a gangster?
Not only a gangster, or he's like an assassin.
Yeah.
Right. Like, because everything was like picture perfect. Okay, we gotta grab, but like I don't know much about like tea houses in Hong Kong, but like for me, I don't think personally I'd be able to drink tea at that place because those birds would have fucking driven me crazy. I'm like, I don't understand why you have to have bird shit like when you're drinking tea. But yeah, it pretty much the way he framed it and shot it, right? You're thinking, okay, this is a hit, right? Like, and then all of a sudden it technically is a hit because police raids are just like fucking shoot first and ask questions later. But
so I did feel, I mean, for an action film, so I also am not entertained for 2 hours just by action. I find it gets boring. It's like, okay, it's cool to watch, but it doesn't keep me engaged. So
you just literally contradicted yourself because you just said just watch all the action and fast forward to the story.
Yeah, if you like action, you could just watch the action. Don't worry about the story because the action sequences, the set pieces are great. He uses a lot of long takes, which I think is also super impressive because it requires such a high level of choreography. Because you can't just be like, okay, so we shoot there, move the camera, take another take. Like a lot of it is single take stuff, long take fucking action sequences, which is great. I mean, the critics like it, 94%. Audience likes it, 92%. Did well at box office. The can, as Scott likes to say, it premiered in North America at TIFF, and people went crazy for it. They were stomping their feet. Mm-hmm. The producers were actually shocked because it did okay in Hong Kong. I think it had like a 3rd place opening weekend or whatever. And then it did really like much better than expectation in North America and Europe and Britain. So, I mean, I don't really, so Jonathan Rosenbaum from the Chicago Reader says, choreographically stunning, like most of Wu's work, especially before he headed to the West. Yeah, I mean, I don't have a lot to say about it. I think the story's kind of like meh, drags out a bit. The action sequences are great. So if that's your thing, I would definitely recommend watching it. I do want to look up and watch more of his early Hong Kong work. I almost feel like he had a little more license because he's a bigger name in Hong Kong. So he got to do really what he wanted in Hong Kong compared to what he does when he comes over to the United States.
Yeah, I'll say one in terms of Can. The end scene in the hospital. If you put this, and I don't know if our YouTube editor can do this, if you put out where the police come in, right, and then it's the gangsters shooting with their bazookas.
Yep.
And put that contrast to fucking Cameron and T2 when they're in the office building and it's just fucking Arnold shooting it. It like the way it's lit and the way the camera like moves from the side this way, like from left to right.
Yeah.
And then you kind of, it's almost, even though these films are being technically shot at the same time, it's just like fucking great minds kind of
think alike.
Fucking, yeah. And yeah, like when I saw that again, I'm like, fuck, that's such a T2 kind of, that's what it reminded me of.
And our editor can definitely do that. So we will make sure for this section of the conversation that we have that up and just Scott's voice. Cause I mean, we don't really need to see much of Scott. So. What the fuck? What the fuck? What? So anything else before we head out, Scott?
No, watch it. Again, if you're into video games, this thing was only there was a sequel to it. It's called Stranglehold, but it was a 2007 video game for PS3. That's the only thing they've ever redone, John Woo and Chong Yong Fat, about this series. And that's it. And that is our wrap for the day. Please like and subscribe to this podcast. Tell your friends. If you want to get a hold of us, reach us at the www.howdyoulikethatmovie.com. I saw your text message like, I'm running out. I'm like, okay, stop.
Are we good,
Rod?
Rod?
I saw Rod.
Okay.
I saw Rod. You're only at 18 minutes. I'm like, 18 minutes power time. I'm like,
so I've got, I'm down. Good work. I mean, I'm down to 8% on my laptop.
Yeah.
So we got the main show. So like Rod said, we can kind of talk whatever.
But in terms of thinking as long, my only criticism of this film would be kind of the stuff where the editing, when it was going scene to scene, where it would just be like a pause on a face and then it would just dissolve into the next.
Oh, the transitions? Yeah.
Yeah, like I think that.
And that was it. Production by Rod Shaver, Vader Monkey Productions.